A repeat drunk driver is facing more than a decade in prison for getting behind the wheel yet again. Julia Compton, seen here in this 2012 traffic stop, is facing new drunk driving charges. Call 6 Investigates' Kara Kinney joins us live with why Compton's case is causing concern. Kara?
That's right, Erica. We cannot get the video of Compton's most recent drunk driving arrest from December 2016 because that case is still pending. But we can show you this arrest from 2012. When Call 6 Investigates started looking into Compton's latest charges, we found she still had a valid driver's license.
On March 29, 2012, Fortville police pull over then-attorney Julia Compton.
Okay, you were called in as a drunk driver, okay? As I was on traffic stop, I saw you driving down the shoulder. Okay. How much you had drank tonight, man? Okay, I'm going to find out here shortly. Put your left foot on that line.
After Julia fails her field sobriety,
take a deep breath and blow until I tell you to stop.
And breath test, police remove alcohol bottles from her car. They struggle to get handcuffs on her.
Put your hands behind your back, you're getting tased.
And eventually take her to the station.
I'm an attorney. Please don't do this. I will do whatever you want me to do. I'm a lawyer.
Whoa.
Another test shows Julia's alcohol at 0.23, nearly 3 times the legal limit.
I will call the judge, okay? Look, I'm a lawyer.
Good, I'll see you in court.
Just a few months after this 2012 arrest, Compton is arrested again for drunk driving, and again in December 2016, her third drunk driving arrest, this time charged as a habitual offender. She's facing more than a decade in prison if convicted.
Based on her history and her convictions of drinking and driving, I am concerned that she's going to hurt herself or somebody else, and I want to keep this community safe.
It wasn't until after Call 6 Investigates started asking about Compton's case that her driver's license was finally suspended in court on May 30th, 5 months after her third DUI arrest. Deputy Prosecutor Rob Seat says it should have been automatic because Compton refused to take a test. It's unclear exactly what happened, but MAD is concerned.
We think that the community is in danger, and we think that she should absolutely have an ignition interlock on her vehicle to prove that she's sober before she starts her vehicle to keep the public safe.
We waited for Compton to show up to court, but she didn't. Her lawyers say Compton is staying at Amethyst House in Bloomington, a residential facility for people with addiction. Compton and her attorneys also declined our emailed request to speak with her in person.
And Compton was convicted in both 2012 cases, and her pending drunk driving case is back in court on August 11th. Prosecutors think she belongs behind bars, and Matt is pushing for an aggressive punishment as well to send a message to Compton as well as other drunk drivers. Now, of course, you can work in many professions with DUIs on your record, including being an attorney. So we started asking some questions about how attorneys are disciplined in the state of Indiana and how a criminal conviction does not necessarily mean that they'll be disbarred. And we'll have those details tomorrow at 6 p.m.
All right, look forward to hearing that. Thank you, Kara.
Yep.
Why were you driving even after the court told you not to? Matt is concerned that you're going to hurt yourself or somebody else. What's your response to that?
Now at 5 o'clock, Call 6 Investigates has some tough questions for a repeat drunk driver and former attorney in trouble with the law again. Julia Compton was caught driving on a suspended license. This, as her third drunk driving case, is still pending. Call 6 Investigates' Kara Kinney was there in court working for you to investigate what's being done and how the system is being held accountable.
Repeat drunk driver Julia Compton appeared in Johnson County Court this morning amid accusations she drove even after the court told her not to. Prosecutors want her in jail.
Julia Compton walked into court in a black suit, smiling with her friends, family, and her attorney. Compton is a Franklin attorney herself. Her law license now suspended. Her driver's license is also suspended, but that didn't stop her from getting behind the wheel last month. She currently has 4 pending criminal charges in Johnson County, including drunk driving and being a habitual offender. It's her third DUI.
Why were you driving even after the court told you not to? Matt is concerned that you're going to hurt yourself or somebody else. What's your response to that? Do you think you belong behind bars?
Compton was vocal during her 2012 drunk driving arrests.
I'm an attorney. Please don't do this. I will do whatever you want me to do. I'm a lawyer. I will call the judge, okay? Look, I'm a lawyer.
Good, I'll see you in court.
In court Thursday, Compton told the judge she used poor judgment when she drove on a suspended license, but she says it's hard to know the right thing to do. The judge told Compton she should do what the court tells her. He revoked her bond and ordered Compton to be taken to jail. Her attorney disagreed, saying jail will hurt her ongoing treatment. Compton had been staying at the Amethyst House in Bloomington.
She can't stay in jail forever. She's going to be released, so I think we're just better off if she's able to continue with her treatment, get the help she needs, and deal with her issues.
What do you say to those that say that she's clearly not doing what the court's telling her to do?
I would say she has made huge progress in her recovery, and I support her recovery, and really the recovery helps the community.
Compton's trial is expected to happen on December 19th. Reporting from Franklin, Kara Kenny, RTV6.
Important safety net for thousands who walk, jog, and ride up and down the Monon Trail apparently has some pretty big holes in it.
Call6 investigates Paris Lubell and his research assistant have been walking the Monon, working for you to get answers.
Hey, Jason and Erica, everybody is using the Monon Trail, whether they're walking their dog or riding a bike. It's used even in the winter. But if you had an emergency on the trail, could you get a hold of 911? Most people have never used them, but they're a nice safety net if you needed help. But when seconds count, what if they didn't work? After Call6 Investigates received a tip about a broken call box, we went to work, asking if those boxes would really work if you needed help. We asked the city for records of where the boxes were and how many emergency calls were made each year. The Monon Trail only has 6 emergency boxes, and they're spread out over the south side of the trail between 13th Street and 34th Street. All 6 boxes had emergency calls over the past year. But still, do the boxes always work? We hit the Monon with IMPD and the park rangers to put them to the test. We started at the first box near the 1300 block of the Monon. The blue light started flashing on top and the call was connected, but there were problems after a dispatcher picked up.
911, what is the location of your emergency?
1200 North Monon Trail.
Hello, this is 911. Do you have an emergency?
It's not an emergency. This is a test. Ranger 125.
Hello, this is 911. Do you have an emergency?
The dispatcher couldn't hear us at all, but they followed protocol and quickly sent officers to the box on the Monon.
Street coming in as a open line and busy on callback. It's showing Indianapolis Departments of Park and Recreation, 1300 North, 1100 East.
Dispatch car 45, you can disregard that. That was a test.
Well, she couldn't hear me, and I don't know why. I will notify them that they couldn't even hear me on the test.
1 box down, 5 to go. The second. We're on the 1800 block of the Monon. We're with IMPD doing a test.
Okay.
I just want to make sure you guys received it.
Yep.
And the third.
911, what's the location of your emergency?
Hello, we are with IMPD. This is just a test.
And the fourth.
What's the location of your emergency? Hey, it's car 45 with IMPD. We're just testing the boxes.
Okay.
So boxes 2, 3, and 4 checked out fine. Dispatchers could hear us and we could hear them. But then on the 5th box, issues again.
911, what's the location of your emergency?
This is a test with Monon Trail. We're testing the boxes with IMPD.
Hello, 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hello, can you hear me?
Barely.
Dispatchers could barely hear us at all. The 5th box now also on that repair list. Then on to the final box. Out of order, but it was labeled that way. The final tally, 3 are working and 3 need some repairs. Indy Park's promising those 3 boxes will be repaired soon. Now, as you're walking your dog along the Monon or exercising, these red boxes aren't everywhere, so police suggest carrying a cell phone. But here's the important part. While you're walking the Monon, you need to pay attention to those mileposts down there or the streets you're crossing. That's why if you do have an emergency, you're able to get a hold of dispatchers and let them know exactly where you are. Jason?
Paris, your research assistant, getting a little added workout tonight. Just how long did the city say that those boxes would take to get fixed right now?
Indy Parks didn't have an exact time. They say they are working with the vendor to see exactly what's wrong, and they said they'll keep us updated.
Call6 Investigates Paris Zabel working for you tonight. Paris, thank you so much. And our team wanted to take a closer look at just how often crimes occur along the Monon Trail. We asked the city to provide us statistics over the past year, but the city couldn't get us that data because the Monon Trail doesn't have any specific addresses like streets do, so they couldn't tell the difference between incidents on the trail and ones at homes nearby. On RTV6, Call6 Investigates has uncovered a gaping hole in our state's legal system, leaving the victims of crime in the dark. Offenders released from prison, the victims notified after they're let out. Working for you tonight, Call6 Investigates Kara Kenny takes a look at how some victims are trying to shine a light on the problem.
Clay was the type of person that he didn't know a stranger. He liked everyone.
Clay Myers was a 21-year-old college student living with his parents in Laurel, Indiana. One night in 2013, Clay went out with his friend Jared Seal.
When the sheriff knocked on the door, he told us about 4 o'clock in the morning that Clay was in an accident. He didn't survive that accident.
The driver, Jared Seal, was drunk, twice the legal limit.
It's the hardest thing a parent can go through, is to hear that your son's not coming back home.
Seal was sentenced to 8 years in prison, with 2 suspended.
He was supposed to serve 6 years.
But Seal didn't serve 6 years or 3 like Amy expected. After 13 months, Amy got a text notification from the Indiana Department of Correction that Seal had already been released from prison.
We were shocked, hurt.
Call6 Investigates did some checking and found Seal pleaded guilty in 2014 as part of an open plea or mercy plea, meaning the judge can later change the sentence. In 2015, the judge denied motions from Seal's attorney to modify his sentence. But in 2016, with no hearing or heads up, the judge issued this order on January 7th, releasing Seal from prison and ordering him to report to probation. Amy Myers didn't find out until Seal was already out.
It's sad. It's insulting to us.
Our system does have flaws in it, there's no question.
Longtime Franklin County prosecutor Mel Wilhelm says his office makes an effort to update victims, but judges can change sentences without notice.
This is not the first time where we've seen a modification. When the order came down, I go, oh, he let so-and-so go.
Mothers Against Drunk Driving Lael Hill says crime victims need time to mentally and physically prepare for their perpetrator's release.
We need to do whatever we can to give the victim a minimum of 10 days notice of the early release of the offender.
Jared Seal has his license back. He declined to talk to us.
He's working, he's sober, he's still reporting to probation regularly, he's going to school.
His Brookville attorney, Judd McMillan, isn't sure reform is needed.
Sometimes people need notification, sometimes they don't, but the best person to make that decision is the judge who has heard the facts in that case.
On the winding road where Clay Myers' life came to an end, a plaque reminds people not to drink and drive. His mom, Amy, also keeps his memory alive by shining a light on the issue and pushing lawmakers for better notification requirements so that other victims aren't kept in the dark. Kara Kenny, RTV6.
And legislation is moving forward at the State House that would improve victim notification, and efforts are already underway to create an Indiana Victims' Rights Coalition that would address the problem.